You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Teehan. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. And Sean, we're in the home stretch right now. I can't believe how we got this far into the season.
Yeah, and big games coming up could determine if the Packers win a division title for the first time since 2021 or if they go on the road for the playoffs. So there could be multiple home games. There could be only one home game left in the season for the 2025 Green Bay Packers. And if you want to get to at least that one guaranteed home game, Wisconsin's own Ticket King will help you out. Our show is sponsored by them. For more than 30 years, they've been providing Packer tickets to Packer fans, as well as Bucks, Brewers, and Summerfest tickets. Find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com, or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network on YouTube with Gil and myself. Go to YouTube, type Packers Talk Network in the search bar. Click on the PackersTalk.com link with the green background and the yellow goalpost. Click on the bell, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you're not doing that, what are you waiting for? You can join the discussion, chat with us live. And Gil, there's so much to talk about with this Packer team where they had the AFC leading Denver Broncos on the ropes on Sunday. It was a 2-possession game in the second half, and then Jordan Love throws an interception. Christian Watson gets hurt on the play. Zach Tom gets hurt earlier in the game. And then Micah Parsons tears his ACL, and he's done for the season. Probably going to miss most of training camp, maybe all of training camp next year. He didn't really have a training camp this season, so I don't know if that's really going to play much of a factor. Evan Williams got hurt on the same play trying to tend to Micah Parsons. So just so many injuries. But Micah Parsons obviously is the headliner, Gil. You traded so much for him. He's been nothing but spectacular for the Packers, leading the team with 12.5 sacks. He's been just everything you have hoped for and more for Green Bay, for trading so many multiple first-round picks and Kenny Clark for. The big question is, Gil, can the Packers make a playoff run without Micah Parsons?
I think the answer is yes. I don't think I would say yes as emphatically as I did with Micah Parsons. Certainly there is a loss there that is going to be felt, but I think there are reasons for optimism, and I'll start with this. Before the Micah Parsons trade, the Packers were considered NFC contenders, a playoff team.
Yeah.
So, okay, injuries hit every team. It's not like they've only hit the Packers. Are the Packers favorites like maybe they were with Micah Parsons, one of the top 1 or 2 teams in the conference? No. But are they one of the top 7 teams in the conference? I think the answer to that is still yes.
Yeah, I'm with you where this Packers team can find a way where I think Jeff Hafley, we both think Jeff Hafley is a very good defensive coordinator. Supposedly he is going to be a hot name on the head coaching carousel this offseason. He's being linked to the New York Giants, obviously out by you, Gil. And the thing is, though, it's like there's so many injuries right now happening with this Packers team, and specifically on the defensive front. Losing Devontae Wyatt, your best defensive tackle for the season, was a massive loss. You're getting Lucas Van Ness back. Rashawn Gary, though, has been a bit of a non-factor for a good month and a half now. Yeah. Kingsley Enagbare has showed flashes. There's something there. There's an opportunity for Kingsley Enagbare, who is in a contract year, to show that he's worthy of some big money in the offseason. You see this all the time. I mean, Brian Gutekunst signed a couple guys a few years ago in the Smith brothers because essentially of the potential that they had. They didn't, excuse me, they didn't really have the big numbers until they got to Green Bay. So this is an opportunity for Kingsley Enagbare to get more snaps and everything. But Jeff Hafley, you wonder what the plan was for the defense going into this season, not having Micah Parsons. He may have to go back to the training camp tape and seeing what works really well, Gil, because I think you're going to see some more creativity. You're not going to see as many four-man rushes. I think you're going to see a lot of blitzes happening. Jeff Hafley has to adjust because this team cannot win with rushing only 4 guys and dropping 7 in coverage. He will have to adjust, and I think he will.
I think he will too. And I think the biggest difference, or one of the biggest differences between Joe Barry and Jeff Hafley, is that Jeff Hafley is better at in-game adjustments, and he's better at adjustments, period. And look, Jeff Hafley had a plan before August 29th when the Packers traded for Micah Parsons as to how he was going to run this defense. And even if you go back to last year, where originally his plan was, we're going to get pressure on the quarterback by rushing 4. And after the first, let's say, half dozen games, he realized that's not going to work. We're not getting home enough.
Yeah.
He adjusted. The defense improved and got more pressure and was better in pass defense and eventually in run defense as well. He needs to make those kind of adjustments. Now, is it easy to do with 3 games left in the regular season? Mm-mm. No. But that's where he's going to earn his money, right? And maybe get that head coaching opportunity that he wants so badly and probably will get.
And I'll say with Jeff Hafley, too, last year, there were so many times last season where they were planning on having Jair Alexander in the lineup. And then last minute, he didn't play. And that uncertainty frustrates coaches where you have a game plan, you have a plan on how to attack an opposing offense, and then your top corner is like, well, I can't go. Like, my knee's not right. At least he knows definitively that Micah Parsons is done. He's on the IR. And I'm not saying like, oh, that's a good thing. It's not a good thing losing a guy like Micah Parsons. Absolutely not. But at least you know where it's like you got to make a game plan knowing that Micah Parsons is not in the lineup. You got to get creative with blitzes and coverages, which I think Jeff Hafley will be willing to do. But I will say this. You saw the Detroit Lions last year, just looking across the division, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, who was on a tear to open the season. They lose him to a nightmarish broken leg injury in the early part of the year. They still finished 15-2. Now they lost in the playoffs, but the mindset they had was offensively, we're pretty much going for it every 4th down. We're going to try to score as many points as possible. And that's where it's like, essentially it's like, you got to, this is more on Matt LaFleur's plate more than anything in the offense's plate. Now they got to be able to compensate for the loss of Micah Parsons. It's that much of an effect.
You've got to score more points. I think that is a given. You've got to score more points. And then there's one other player on defense that I'm thinking about who I think could not make up for the loss of Micah Parsons, but step in and step up and help this team overcome the loss of Micah Parsons to a point. Who do you think I'm thinking of?
Got to be thinking Brenton Cox Jr., who's designated to return off IR.
No, that's not where I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking Edgerrin Cooper.
Yeah.
You think of the role he had last year, how often he was blitzing, how often he was making plays behind the line of scrimmage. The way they used him this year because of Micah Parsons changed, and he doesn't have as many tackles for loss, and he's not blitzing as often. To me, Edgerrin Cooper 2025 has to revert to the form of Edgerrin Cooper 2024, except now he's going to play every down instead of playing half. And, he can fill that role. He can be the A-gap blitzer that we often saw Micah Parsons doing. He can run down running backs on the other side of the field. I think they will have to turn Edgerrin Cooper loose a lot more than what they did when they had Micah Parsons in the lineup to fall back on.
I feel like they could do that also with Quay Walker, where It's like those two are very similar, like very relatively similar skill sets. But it's funny you bring that up because before we knew the Packers were actually going to land Micah Parsons in a trade right before the season, Edgerrin Cooper to me was kind of a sneaky pick for Defensive Player of the Year. He was just because of the sacks, the tackles for loss he was registering last year, the interceptions. Like he's just a guy who flies all over the field. And it's not like, Offensive Player of the Year typically goes to the best non-quarterback during the season. Jonathan Taylor's probably going to win that this year for the Colts. That's my assumption. Or Jackson Smith and Jigba in Seattle. But defensively, it could really be anyone at any given time. It could be the sack leader. And last year was Patrick Surtain from Denver. And Edgerrin Cooper felt like after his rookie year, it's like, this is a guy who you feel like he has Defensive Player of the Year capabilities just with all the stuff that he can do from the linebacker spot. And I think he's definitely taken a step forward this year. He's in a little bit of a different role. They're not blitzing him as often, but I'm with you, Gil. That can make the defense a little little more spicy, a little more exotic and everything, where you're sending Edgerrin Cooper flying into a gap or two, or one different gap at a time. That could be the big key piece for Jeff Hafley's defense to be able to move forward without a Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I think he's the top candidate to be the X factor going forward. And he showed he could do it last year. Now he's got to show he can do it this year and get that job done.
So it's a bummer. We're not going to see Micah Parsons the rest of this season, which is he's been nothing but awesome. I still will know. Time will tell in a few years from now if the Packers actually won this trade. You don't. If there's a guy available who's 26 years old in the prime of his career, like a Micah Parsons, you go get him, and he's been awesome. And I feel like he's a guy where obviously you look at ACL injuries from the past with the Packers specifically, where David Bakhtiari had an ACL tear on New Year's Eve of 2020. Just one last, essentially, middle finger from 2020 going into 2021. And David Bakhtiari tore his ACL, and he never really played again. And he was done, and his career was over. But then you saw Elton Jenkins. He recovered well. Rashawn Gary, not really the same player, but he recovered well enough to play. Christian Watson looks even better since his ACL tear. So you don't know what's going to happen. I like to bet the over, though, with Micah Parsons, that he's going to be just fine coming back.
Yeah, I've learned not to doubt Micah Parsons too much.
You know? No, he's too good. He's been doing it for too long. He's too talented. I think he's got a hunger inside of him that not many guys have. He's going to be ready to go in 2026. But speaking of the Packers injury report, outside of the Micah Parsons season-ending ACL tear, we know who's questionable, who's out for Saturday's game against the Chicago Bears. Packers listing 10 players as questionable to play on Saturday. That includes running back Josh Jacobs. Surprisingly, wide receiver Christian Watson, who left that game with that shoulder. It looked like a shoulder injury. It was ruled a chest injury. He was hospitalized a little bit after that game, after he left the stadium in Denver on Sunday. But it sounds like he sounds like he's going to be ready to play. Offensive tackle Zach Tom, safety Evan Williams, wide receiver Dontavian Wicks, running back Chris Brooks, offensive lineman Darren Kennard, defensive lineman Kingsley Enagbare, edge rushers Brenton Cox Jr. and Colin Oliver, both designated to return from the IR. They could be back on Saturday. Ruled out this weekend includes tight end Josh Wiley with a concussion, offensive guard John Williams, rookie 7th-round pick with a back injury. He's been designated to return as well. And then running back Marshawn Lloyd, who he was activated, but he's going to be put back on IR because he has another injury. It's just the guy cannot catch a break at all. Could Marshawn Lloyd come back? Could he be our James Starks like in 2010?
Yes, but probably not this year. The earliest I could see him coming back is the second round of the playoffs, and that's if everything breaks right for him.
Yeah.
I am not counting on Marshawn Lloyd this year, and maybe, unfortunately, not ever.
I feel terrible for that guy. Hey, if it's Mike Flanagan 2.0, he'll be a Pro Bowl player. It'll be way down the road, but he'll be a Pro Bowl player. But you can't help but feel terrible. It sounds like everyone's just really sad about Marshawn Lloyd and just not being able to get healthy, essentially. But let's move on. Bears offense, Packers defense, the 10-4 Bears, the 9-4-1 Packers. This is where the strengths of these teams are in the rankings. Chicago, 5th in total offense. Green Bay, 6th in total defense. Chicago, 9th in scoring, 17th passing, 2nd best rushing team in football. Green Bay's defense, 8th in scoring, 8th against the pass, and 8th against the run. Gil, that first matchup a couple weeks ago, the Packers defense seemed to be really, really clicking in that first half. Then the Bears found something in that Packers defense and nearly won the game. They tied the game in the fourth quarter at 21. Packers end up holding them off for a 28-21 win. What's a matchup that we got to look forward to watching between the Bears offense and the Packers defense in round 2 of this matchup?
You got to start with stopping the run. I mean, you said yourself, they're ranked 2nd in the NFL. They've got a really good two-headed monster at running back, and you've got to slow down DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, and you hold them to 120 yards or less over the course of the game, and I think the Packers will win.
Now, the Bears in that first game, they had 138 rushing yards, averaged 4.3 yards per carry as a team. And the Chicago running backs this year are averaging 4.8 yards per carry. That's tied for 5th in the NFL. So the Packers did a good job, a relatively good job against this Bears offense, against the Bears rushing attack. Remember, Kingsley Enagbare had that big stuff on 3rd and short, deep in their own territory, right before Caleb Williams threw the interception at the end of the game to seal the deal for the Packers. This is where I'm with you, though, right here, where the Bears, they're going to be out a couple of their top receivers. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden both ruled out for Saturday's game. You got to go all in on stopping the run and just crowding the line of scrimmage. But the big thing for me, Gil, is keeping Caleb Williams contained. You keep him in the pocket. He is not as good of a passer, but it's just the schoolyard stuff where he gets rolling and he's able to throw on the run. That's where he's at his best. Packers in this game have to do a much better job keeping him in the pocket on Saturday.
And not having Micah Parsons might even be a little bit of an advantage in that regard, because while Rashawn Gary may not sack the quarterback as often, he's very good at keeping contained most of the time. Last couple of years, he's improved a lot in that area. I think, two things. Number one, you want to keep him in the pocket. You want to make him beat you with his arm and don't let him improvise. But number two, if he does leave the pocket, make sure he's running to his left and not to his right. The interception by Keyshawn Nixon, he was running to his left.
Yes,
he doesn't like that. He doesn't have as good of an ability to set and make an accurate throw when he's running to his left. You got to prevent him from getting out of the pocket to his right.
Packers are allowing opposing quarterbacks to complete about 65.5% of their passes this year. That's tied for 19th in the NFL. Not great, but Caleb Williams was 19 of 35 in that first game. 186 yards, only averaged 5.3 yards per attempt, 76.6 passer rating. And he didn't really run wild, but again, it's like he got loose out of the pocket and everything like that. And there were just so many times it felt like, specifically in the second half of that first game, Gil, where it's like, oh, we're there, but then we're getting too far up the field, and then Caleb leaves the pocket. That cannot happen again. I guarantee you, the defensive coaches are telling them, like, do not get far up the field. They're inviting. I mean, these tackles, I swear they're being told, and it is what like O linemen typically are told, especially a tackle, is if they run by you, just push them down the field and open up a lane for your quarterback, open up a lane for a running back, whatever it may be. Packers got to do a better job of holding steady and keeping that pocket tight and making sure Caleb Williams doesn't improvise as often as he did in that first game.
No doubt. And look, if it's schoolyard ball, he excels. But if he has to actually go through his progressions and he has time, he's still learning. I mean, he's super talented. He's got the arm strength, but he's still inexperienced, and the Packers have to be able to take advantage of that and make him think the game.
Yeah, that's not something they really did very well with Bo Nix last week. Bo Nix had a career game last week, and he was great against the Packers defense a week ago. Let's switch it up, though. Packers offense, Bears defense. Packers offense ranked 13th in total offense this year. The Bears 24th in total defense. Green Bay's offense, they're 10th in scoring, 12th in passing, 18th in rushing. Chicago's defense, 21st in scoring, 18th against the pass, 23rd against the run. It's the turnovers. That's where Chicago's defense feasts. They have 30 takeaways this year, 21 interceptions. They live off of taking the football away. They had an interception off of Jordan Love in that first game and one sack, all on that first Packers offensive drive. After that, Jordan Love was really cooking, Gil. He was 17 and 25 for the game, 234 yards, 9.4 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 120.7 passer rating. Gil, you feel like a lot's going to be put on Jordan Love's shoulders. The Packers offense in general, but Jordan Love's shoulders. I feel like that's kind of the matchup where it's like Jordan Love against this Bears secondary and Bears back seven is really what's going to be very important come Saturday.
It is. And, the subset of that to me, Jordan Love from a clean pocket is as good as any quarterback in the league. Mm-hmm. You got to keep, whether you have Zach Tom or not, whether it's Darian Kennard, whether it's Jordan Morgan, whether it's Anthony Belton, whoever's lining up at right tackle, you got to keep Montez Sweat off of Jordan Love and give Love a clean pocket, because this Bears secondary is vulnerable if you have time to throw. And Jordan Love, if he has time to throw, is as good as any quarterback in the league right now. So protect Jordan Love, let him make his plays. And I think the offense is going to have to step up and score more, knowing that there is no Micah Parsons on the defensive side of the ball.
It's going to be so important. The Packers need Zach Tom very badly.
Yes.
They're just a much better offensive line when he's in there. But the Packers O-line as a whole this year, they've only allowed 21 sacks this season. That's tied for fourth fewest allowed in the NFL. Chicago's pass rush only has 29 sacks on the season. That's tied for ninth fewest in the NFL. So it's really, the clean pockets. There was a lot of them in that first game, and Jordan Love was able to be pretty good. But you got the Christian Watson injury happening where he said he's going to play on Saturday. It sounds like he's trending towards playing, but we really don't know until we actually get to game day, Gil. I feel like the Packer receivers against this Bears secondary, an opportunistic secondary, and a Packers receiving group that they love the explosive plays. They're one of the more explosive groups in football. That I feel like is the matchup worth watching between this Packer receiving group and the Bears secondary, which feasts off of turnovers.
And we're not going to know about Christian Watson. And even if he plays, I doubt he plays as much as he normally would, and he'll be limited in some way. But here's the thing. The Bears like their man coverage. That opens things up for a Matthew Golden, for a Dontavian Wicks, and certainly for Christian Watson if he's out there. Beating man coverage, I think, is something this Packer receiver group can do very well.
Dontavian Wicks and Matthew Golden were both non-factors in that first game a couple weeks ago. Matthew Golden got a little more involved in the offense last week. I've been saying if he's healthy, that guy needs to get the ball. He just does. Like I think his hands are really good. He had that really nice third down grab along the sideline on that back shoulder throw last week in Denver, where it's just like, man, this kid's talented. You got to give him the ball. And if Christian Watson can open things up for him underneath, that's huge. At Jaden Reed as well. Dontavian Wicks, hopefully he's healthier. There's some stuff there where the Packers can rely more on these receivers if they're healthy enough. Bo Melton had a 50-yard touchdown. No disrespect to Bo Melton, but he's receiver number 5 or 6 when this team is fully healthy at receiver. So I think seeing how the Packers game plan with the possibility of not having Christian Watson on Saturday is going to be very interesting. And that this could be the little detail in the game plan that could be the difference between a win and a loss on Saturday.
No question. And I think that secondary is vulnerable. And, these receivers, these Green Bay receivers should be able to make some hay if Jordan Love has time to throw the football.
Christian Watson makes life easier. Zach Tom makes the pocket a little better. Hopefully they have these two guys going into this game on Saturday. Let's go over some stats and figures real quick before we get to some predictions. Turnover ratio this year, the Packers are +3. The Bears +20 this year. Again, they lead the NFL with 30 takeaways, 21 interceptions, and they're tied with the Packers for the second fewest giveaways in football this year. Both teams only have 10 giveaways on the season. Penalties, Green Bay, they are the 14th most penalized team. Chicago, the 11th most penalized team in football. Third downs, Green Bay is still the number 1 third down offense. They're actually pretty good on third down in Denver on Sunday, 50.3%. 17th on third down defense, 39.3%. Chicago's offense, they're a good third down offense as well. 5th in third down this year, 13th on defense on third down. Red zone touchdown percentage, Green Bay, 7th in red zone touchdown percentage at 64.7% on offense. Defensively, 62.5%. That's 24th in the league. Chicago's offense in the red zone, 59.2 red zone touchdown percentage. That's 15th. Defensively, 60.5%. That is 22nd. And then real quick, the Bears injury report. 4 are questionable to play on Saturday. That includes running back DeAndre Swift, who's dealing with a groin, tight end Cole Kmet, who's dealing with a knee and ankle, defensive lineman Joe Tryon-Shoyinka dealing with a personal matter, and linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, who did not play in that game a couple weeks ago, dealing with a groin. He's designated to return from the IR, and then again, ruled out in case you missed it earlier in this episode, wide receiver Rome Odunze, who has a foot issue. He was actually activated for that game in Cleveland against Cleveland on Sunday, re-aggravated the injury and did not play then on Sunday. Wide receiver Luther Burden dealing with an ankle, and linebacker Amen Ogbongbemiga, Ongbongbemiga dealing with a hamstring injury. Those 3 have been ruled out for Sunday. Gil, after all that mouth chatter right there, why does Green Bay win on Saturday?
Green Bay wins if they are -1 or better in turnovers and if they protect Jordan Love.
I think they win if Jordan Love has a good game The clean pocket helps, but also I think it's not who you play, but when you play a team in the NFL. And if Jeff Hafley totally changes his defensive scheme and catches Ben Johnson and the Bears offense off guard, perfect timing in the Packers' favor for sure. Why does Green Bay lose?
Green Bay loses if they turn the ball over and if they can't stop Chicago from running the football. If the Bears run for 150 yards or more, Green Bay could be in real trouble.
If the defense sputters like people are anticipating them to sputter without Micah Parsons, that's why they're going to lose. And if the offense can't score more, if they can't score 30 or more points possibly on Saturday, I'm not feeling too good about it. Gil, what's your prediction for Saturday? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game. It is going to be a close game. I think the Packers will reach that magic 27 points, but I think the Bears will just find a way to win it in the final minute. I have Chicago 30, Green Bay 27.
Yeah, I've been picking against the Packers for a long time now, just in hopes of proving me wrong. But I do think the Bears win this game. I think the Bears are a good team, and it's just the timing of the Micah Parsons injury, I think, is going to have a greater negative impact than a positive impact for this team. But who knows? Bears-Packers, it's a rivalry. Things go out the window. But I do have the Bears winning 30-23. I think it's going to be a close game, a tight game, but the Bears will win this one at Soldier Field. Gil, what articles do you have coming up online for Packers Post at Cheesehead TV?
For the Packers Post, I talked a little bit about how they handle the potential absence of Zach Tom and also Micah Parsons, so that, have to talk about that this week. And then over at Cheesehead, the disappointing season of Jordan Morgan, which I think a lot of Packer fans expected a lot more from him this year than what we've been getting.
I think personally with Jordan Morgan, he needs to be playing left tackle. I don't think he's a guard. That's just what I think. But go read Gil's stuff online, folks. Gil, are you ready for some trivia?
I am ready for some trivia.
All right. Well, the Packers, of course, they'll be in the Windy City on Saturday, taking on the NFC North leading Chicago Bears. Or in a few years from now, they could be in Indiana playing the Bears against the Gary Indiana Bears. But it'll be a bit of a homecoming for two Green Bay Packers for now. Gil, which two current Packers were born and raised in the greater Chicago area?
Oh, my gosh. Right. Okay. From Chicago. All right. If I'm going Midwest, I got to start with Jaden Reed.
Yes. Jaden Reed is from Naperville. Yep.
Okay. And good Lord. Offense or defense?
Defense.
Boy, oh boy. Lucas Van Ness.
That is correct. Lucas Van Ness is from Barrington. Again, Lucas Van Ness, Jaden Reed, both raised in the Chicago suburbs. Reed said he actually did grow up a Bears fan after he was drafted, he turned the page as soon as the Packers drafted him. And Van Ness was born and raised in nearby Barrington, Illinois. I don't think we know for certain which NFL team he grew up rooting for. Probably for the Bears if he was in Chicago. But he's a Packer now. So, yeah, both those guys Packers. The news came out with I don't know, for people who follow football, that the Bears essentially may build their stadium in Northwest Indiana because they may not get approval for the new stadium in Arlington, nearby Arlington Heights. This is why the Packers have stock sales, folks. It's to avoid situations like this. That's exactly it. People clown it, but we're owners, Gil. You're an owner, right, Gil?
I am an owner.
We're co-owners. And
there you go.
Make sure the Packers stay put. They're not going anywhere.
And here we are every Thursday having a board meeting. You see that?
This is the meeting of the minds, man. This is the market right here.
The stockholders meeting today and every Thursday here on Packers Talk. So there you go.
That's the way we roll. Hey, business as usual, man. That's not a bad way to get together once a week just to discuss the Packers.
Absolutely. Just wanted to also let everybody know, by the way, because of the holiday schedule next week, we will be going live on Tuesday instead of the usual Thursday. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up ahead of the holidays.
Tuesday the 23rd. Yeah, it's a goofy time, but I think people will be taking off work, so hopefully they'll tune in. So we'll see, Gil. We'll see.
We shall see, but just giving everyone a heads up. So that will do it for us today. We'll be right back here next Tuesday. Follow us on Twitter at Packers, update on all things Packers, or to ask us questions. Or you can email us at gbpackerssean@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show. Thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.